Okay, I'm going to do a brief overview here of how how my foam machine works and how I put it together. There's basically two components. Got to have something that blows a lot of air. A lot of different methods of doing this. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube regarding what types of fans to use. This is a dust collector for woodworking. Basically, this one's designed to suck in wood shavings, and then there's usually a dust bag collector. But I moved the hose from the sucking end to the blowing end. So this blows air through this 4-inch corrugated tube. And in this case, I have it set up so that it drops the foam on this canopy frame down onto the slip and slide. So the corrugated tube connects to the 4-inch metal ducting. Got to have duct tape wherever there's a joint. Got to make sure that it's good and airtight. At the very top, there's one of these adapters that all have pictures of exactly what that is. And once again, everything's sealed up real good with duct tape so there's no air leaks. Then you also got to have a source of water. A sump pump is the tool of choice. Any ordinary $40 sump pump that you get at Harbor Freight works just fine. A lot of people like to have some sort of a valve in place so that you can adjust the flow. I've been keeping mine on just full throttle and it works great. So it pulls the water and soap solution out of any container that's 25 gallons or more, and it runs it through the hose, and the hose runs right along with the air hose, and then it injects the water through a sprinkler nozzle down into the sock. And once again, I'll have pictures of exactly what type of material this sock is. So that will get filled with air, and it will get filled with the water and soap solution. And this fabric is porous, so water can get through it and air can get through it, but the holes are small enough that it makes the foam really small and light and fluffy. So you just need one power source. And then I put a splitter on mine. One goes to the fan, one goes to the sump pump. Of course, you want to have the electrical connections off the ground and in a location where they're not going to get wet. I just happen to have a gas meter here that I was able to dangle my extension cord off of. As far as the soap solution, what I've been reading is 2% soap works best. That's what I started with. So 25 gallons would be about 50 fluid ounces of soap. However, I found that you get a lot better foam and a lot more foam if you use closer to like 3 to 4% soap. So for a 25 gallon bucket or can, I used about 60 ounces of different types of soap. One of the best combinations I found was about 30 ounces of dish soap to 30 ounces of bubble bath soap. Put those in there after you fill the jug, You don't want to put them in first because then you're just going to end up with a bunch of foam bubbles at the top. So you don't want the solution in the can getting foamy before you start the sump pump. Okay, now that we're done having our fun with this foam machine, I'm going to dissect it so we can all see how I assembled this one. Like I said, of course, there's many different methods, all over YouTube, all over the internet. I just decided to do it this way because these are parts that I had, most of them anyway. And I wanted mine to be a little more portable with the long flexible tube where I could put it over a slip and slide, I could put it over the trampoline, things like that. The ductwork is full of all kinds of crack where air can leak out. So before it's used, I had duct tape all over all of these seams, everywhere it could possibly leak air, even around the sock. I already removed those just to speed things up here a little bit. This is a standard 4-inch heater duct, standard 4-inch elbow joint. This particular sock, and I'll get some close-up photos. I used a bunch of different materials. This happens to be a filtration barrier fabric that I got in the plumbing department at Menards. It's designed to go over that 4-inch corrugated tube. But I think just about any fabric that's porous, that water and air can flow through easily, will work. And I am going to remove the fabric so we can see what's inside of here. And what I did that I didn't see anybody else on the internet do, I put a clothes hanger wire wrapped around this. And that's inside, and that keeps the sock rigid. So when it's oriented like this, it doesn't just flop down from the weight of the water soaking into the fabric. If you can keep it upright like this or in a down position like that, gives it a lot more surface area. And that's what we want. And this particular fabric is nice and stretchy, so I can just pull it right over this piece of ducting. This sock was 8 feet long. I folded it in on itself about 3 times, so it's actually about 3 layers thick. And then I zip tied it closed on one end and then just turned it inside out. So that's its overall length now. And the clothes hanger I was talking about. And that just comes right off. So on the inside you can see there's just a regular sprinkler head with a couple of elbow joints. I use this flexible tube because I knew that I was going to be using an elbow, so I could keep it up in that position. On the end, we want some kind of a hose nozzle adapter like this. Yep, you can see that. That's the female end hose. That's 1/2 inch PVC. Now for me, the hardest part of this build was drilling a hole through the sheet metal because I didn't have the correct size drill bit. I ended up drilling a series of small holes and then connecting them with snippers and then filing it clean. So that would look kind of like that. And to keep it watertight, I put a metal washer on either side of the metal, and then a rubber washer in between the metal washers. Just a big old metal washer like that. But since there wasn't any rubber washers or gaskets available, I also found this in the plumbing department of Menards that I just cut into squares and then cut a round hole the same size as the hole in the washer. And then for a little extra protection, I even put some caulking sealant around it. And that nozzle is just a standard sprinkler nozzle with a 360-degree spray. Picked that up at Menards for about 75 cents. And then from there, once it's assembled, it's just run a garden hose from your adapter down to the sump pump in a bucket with about 25 gallons of water, and about 3 or 4% of that water is the soap solution. I found that Dawn dishwashing soap seems to work best.